we find that according to the climate and conditions that a prophet was living in, God Almighty gives the prophets miracles according to those situations and conditions. We find that the way a prophet proves that he is a chosen individual with the message of God Almighty is by showing miracles. For example, when we look at the time of Prophet Moses, we find that magic and mysticism was at its peak. And within the court of Pharaoh, there would be the gatherings of magicians where they would perform their magic. Therefore, God Almighty, to prove to the people that Moses is a prophet, He gave him miracles refuting the magic of the people of the time. Therefore, we find within the Holy Quran, in chapter Taha, amongst the miracles of Moses is him throwing his staff and it turning into a python, eating the snakes that the other magicians had magically made appear. Also, again in the same chapter, we find another miracle of Prophet Moses is the white hand. He would place it into his shirt and it would come out with light guiding him, making it clear that he was a prophet. Then when we look at the time of Prophet Jesus, the case is similar, and we find that during the time of Prophet Jesus, science and medicine was at its peak. And therefore God Almighty gives Prophet Jesus, with his permission, the ability to bring back the dead and give them life. We find that Prophet Jesus was able to give sight to the blind, and he was able to cure the leper, therefore making it clear for the people of the time that what Jesus is doing is a miracle, and therefore he is a chosen prophet from God Almighty. Then when it comes to the time of the Holy Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad,
we find that within the Arabs there are two aspects which they take pride over. One is their linguistic excellence and their masterful eloquence in speech and poetry. The second aspect which they take pride in is their swordsmanship and their courage and their art of war. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
We find that the second aspect which they take pride in, other than their eloquence and speech, is their ability to fight. Therefore, similar to the previous prophets like Moses and Jesus, to refute the ideas that existed to prove that Prophet Muhammad is the chosen messenger and prophet of God Almighty, in answer to their eloquence and linguistic masterfulness, we find that God Almighty gave the Prophet the Holy Quran. And in refutation and in answer to their swordsmanship, combat and art of war, God Almighty gave the Prophet Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.